For at least the past decade, Beyoncé Giselle Knowles-Carter has been the world's greatest and most celebrated living entertainer. The triple threat singer, dancer, actress has dominated the entertainment world for over 20 years with her powerhouse vocals and show-stopping performances. Beyoncé's music videos, intricate dance moves, and innovative album rollouts turned into cultural phenomenons, and she reached milestones most of her peers never saw. She's released so many hits from dance floor bangers to women empowerment anthems. But being the world's biggest living entertainer comes with criticism and controversy. Beyoncé's credibility as an artist and ability to write her own music has been called into question numerous times since the day she released her solo breakout hit, Crazy in Love. She has a credit on nearly every original song she's recorded, but has been widely criticized for using a team of writers to help her pen hits. So is Beyoncé really the songwriter she claims to be? And how much of her solo music does she actually contribute to? In this video, I'm gonna walk you guys through a timeline of some of her biggest songwriting scandals, from allegations of stolen songwriting credits to claims of plagiarism from her collaborators. And I'm also gonna try to put some things into perspective for you guys. So let's dive in.
The actual Drunken Love.
I did the actual Drunken Love.
Did you get credit for that?
I did Drunken Love.
Are there times that you write songs for people and they want to take credit for it and act like you didn't write it because they want to make it seem like I did this?
It just seems stupid. Like everything I wrote just sounded dumb to myself. So I don't think I can ever do that unless I'm really, really close with the artist or unless I really love them and it's more like a collaboration. I just feel like artists should write their own songs.
Believe it or not, Beyoncé has been writing music since she was as young as 13 years old. Once she realized she wanted to take music seriously, she started writing songs and recording demo tapes of herself singing, which her father, Matthew Knowles, sent to record label executives in search of a record deal for his daughter. Fast forward a few years down the road to the mid-90s, when Beyoncé is the lead singer of the girl group Destiny's Child. Beyoncé undoubtedly had the biggest role in the group as the strongest vocalist. During the recording of their debut album, she stayed in the studio after hours with producers to record most of the vocals and made changes to lyrics. She's credited as a co-writer on a few of the tracks, though it's not clear how big her contributions were to those songs. While majority of the songs on the record were sleeper tracks, Destiny's Child scored a hit with the up-tempo Wyclef remix of their single No No No. This is where Beyoncé developed her signature rap singing style that she has continued to use throughout her career.
And when some of us wanted to go to the movies, when some of us wanted to go, when we did have our off time, she was in the studio sitting there by herself writing the record. She was in the car I never forget, we was at this little like indoor play jungle gym situation or whatever, having our fun like kids are supposed to. And she sat out in a hot ass car and was writing to a track. And I remember going, where be at? And I was she in the car. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in now, see what you're doing. And I went and sat in the passenger seat as she just wrote this record. And I was like, we be out here trying to have fun, and this girl, she's on it. She lives this.
Yeah.
Like this, she wants this bad. It is no surprise to me that she is the icon that she is. Now, a lot of other things went into that. No, she did it.
She just did it.
Lead by example.
Yeah.
She led by example.
We gotta get back to that in this music.
B used to sit in a booth with me while I was singing my parts. You know how normally the lead singer, once they've done their role or whatever, you come in and sing your 4 lines and they go off and do whatever. B would sit in the booth with us on the floor in the corner and be like, nah, try that again, blah, blah, blah. And the support she would give us, even in the roles that we played in this.
Wow.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. She never stopped. She hasn't stopped.
All 4 members of Destiny's Child took on bigger roles for their second album, The Writings on the Wall. They all got co-writing credits on songs for rewriting lyrics. But Beyoncé and her father Matthew, of course, oversaw most of the production. Matthew made a deal with Candy Burris of Escape, who was just coming off of writing the hit song No Scrubs for TLC. He wanted Candy to help the group find their signature R&B sound. Additional songwriting and production was done by Missy Elliott, Kevin Shakespeare Briggs, Rodney Darkchild Jerkins, Dwayne Wiggins, Chad Elliott, and Daryl Simmons. Their hit song Jumpin' Jumpin' in particular was co-written and co-produced by Beyoncé and Chad Elliott.
Beyonce produced that song. That's like one of our favorite songs on the album. Because you can be like mad or something, and as soon as you hear that beat, you just start jumping and bouncing, and you get all happy. Right. And it's a party song.
Actually, Wyclef told us to sing. We were gonna totally change No 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 for the remix, and he said, "No, girls, it'd be really fat if you girls just sing it the exact same way but fast." And we were like, "No, Clef, it's no way." He was like, "Yes." So I did it. I was playing around, and he was like, "That's fat." I was like, "No, Clef." So he recorded it. I did it one time, and he kept it and was like, "No, I'm not changing it." So that was the song right there.
With the help of her singing style and vocal abilities, The Writings on the Wall became Destiny's Child's best-selling album, but a rivalry between the group members exposed a lot of things that went on behind the scenes while recording the sophomore album. In a 2001 Vibe magazine article, Beyoncé accused former group members LaToya and Latavia of lacking talent and not contributing to music recording for the album. In an open letter, she wrote, "I never complained when you didn't sing one note on numerous songs on the album. I've never complained that when I was working my butt off in the studio, as I did on the last album, that the two of you were both either sleeping or on your phones approximately 80% of the time. I never complained when the two of you were lip syncing to my vocals on some of the videos and on stage. In fact, I only helped make our contributions appear to be equal to the public." End quote. In March that year, Beyoncé showcased her writing skills by penning the hit song Survivor with a little help from her father Matthew Knowles, of course. The instrumental was originally intended for Lil' Kim, but Beyoncé used it to pen the lyrics, melody, and vocal arrangement, and the track became Destiny's Child's. The lyrics addressed the group's drama and media outlets comparing the dismissal of the three group members to the reality show of the same name.
Destiny's Child is like the Survivor series. We're trying to see which member is going to end up at the last on the island, which one is going to get voted off. It was actually cute, and it inspired me to write a song. And I was like, you know, we can use that negative thing and turn it to a positive thing and do a whole Survivor video and laugh at them and make a fool out of them. And that's what we did. At the same time, it's a positive song, and it's something that we can relate to, and something that a lot of people can relate to. Not only people, you know, that's been through things in groups, but surviving cancer and AIDS and racism and all the different things that happen in life.
When I wrote the songs, I wrote the first verse for Kelly, the second verse for me, the third verse for Michelle. Usually you get in the studio, they already have their song in their head before they even know you. They won't spend hours and hours with you when there's somebody else in the group that can do it faster. They'll just put whoever, you know, delivers what is in their head in the studio. With me, I wrote the songs for us.
Of course, Beyoncé backpedaled after being slapped with a lawsuit by LaToya and Latavia for violating a previous agreement that prevented either party from insulting the other. She claimed that she wasn't necessarily referring to her former group mates in the lyrics that she wrote. Beyoncé took over creative control of their third album and was the only member involved in the songwriting. She co-wrote all but one song on their Survivor album. In an interview, Kelly said, "I have gifts that I can share with the world. Writing songs is not one of them." Then Michelle chimed in and said, "Beyoncé has truly been an inspiration. She wrote Survivor in 5 minutes. That's something that would have taken me 6 months or a year to do. It's good to be with someone that does a way better job than I ever could." End quote.
Destiny's Child's new album, Survivor, definitely shows our growth. I got the opportunity of writing and producing actually every song on the album, and with me writing and producing, I made sure everybody sang lead on every song, which is so cool because these ladies are so talented, and it really shows Destiny's Child as a whole And I just can't wait for everybody to hear it. It's all about being positive. So
I also think the great thing about this album is the fact that it's personal, since Beyonce got a chance to write and produce. So we put our heart and our soul into it, and Beyonce did an excellent job when it came to producing the vocals. And, you know, we'll let everybody else see how they like it.
Writer and producer Rob Fosari became upset with Beyoncé for taking credit for writing their 2001 hit song Bootylicious. He said, "I remember watching Barbara Walters interview Beyoncé about Bootylicious, and she told Barbara about how she came up with the idea for the track. And I was like, what? I called Matthew, which was a big mistake. I got emotional and I apologized after. But I called Matthew and said, Matthew, like, why? And he explained to me in a nice way. He said, people don't want to hear about Rob Fosari, producer from Livingston, New Jersey. No offense, but that's not what sells records. What sells records is people believing that the artist is everything." And I'm like, yeah, I know, Matthew. I understand the game. But come on, I'm trying too. I'm a squirrel trying to get a nut too. That year, Beyoncé became the first Black woman and second overall to win Songwriter of the Year at the ASCAP Music Awards for co-writing the Survivor album by Destiny's Child at just 20 years old. I suggest you guys watch my Destiny's Child video for a more in-depth view on what happened between the group. But for now, let's dive into the beginning of her plagiarism accusations, her solo career.
Beyoncé, you co-wrote and produced all the stuff on Survivor. Was this the plan? Did you want to do that, or did that just fall into place that way?
Well, I actually co-wrote and produced on The Writings on the Wall and on the first album. The first album, I was too young. I didn't know that I was supposed to get percentages and credit for it. The second album was when I realized that I could produce with just us in the studio. We really didn't need anybody else. And by the third album is when I realized that I should be getting credit for it. And it's not anything that I planned. I didn't say I want to write this album. We just went in the studio, started writing, and Survivor was the result. You know, when I first got my publishing deal, I thought I wanted to write for other people. And I went in the studio and wrote a couple songs. And they were so personal, or it just had it sounded like Destiny's Child, because that's who I'm used to writing for. And I had a hard time writing for other people. Then when I tried to take myself out of it and write for someone else, it just seemed stupid. Like everything I wrote just sounded dumb to myself. So I don't think I can ever do that unless I'm really, really close with the artist, or unless I really love them and it's more like a collaboration. I just feel like artists should write their own songs. But as far as being a producer and writing for just everybody, I really admire. I so admire like Missy and all of the other producers that just write songs for everybody. That takes so much courage and confidence, and I'm still growing, maybe one day, but I just don't think that's one thing that's not something that I have, you know.
In 2005, Fox News published an article by Roger Friedman attacking Beyoncé for taking credit for writing her hit solo single, Crazy in Love, in a Vanity Fair article, along with 8 #1 songs for Destiny's Child. Her Vanity Fair quote reads, "Crazy in Love was really hard to write because there was so much going on. I let Columbia hear it with the rest of my album, and people liked it, but they didn't go crazy for it. I was so stressed because I thought, I don't have a single. I mean, I had written 7, 8 #1 songs with Destiny's Child in a row? But I guess if you haven't written a #1 song in 3 months, you have to prove yourself again. I knew the song wasn't complete because the horns were so old school, and I thought if a rapper was on it, people would give it more of a chance because rappers can flow over old school beats, and people accept it," end quote. In the Fox News article, Friedman writes, "Vanity Fair finally puts a solo African-American on its cover and doesn't do any fact-checking. Beyoncé Knowles, who's full of sass and has a striking voice, actually thinks she's a songwriter. She says so in the new Vanity Fair. In fact, Beyoncé did not write her big hit Crazy in Love or even conceive of it." He goes on to write, "Indeed, the person who sought out the track was hip-hop producer Rich Harrison. He's the go-to guy when you need to sample something obscure because you can't write your own hits. Beyoncé is credited as the co-writer of Crazy in Love, but how much of the song did she actually contribute to? Let's take a closer look.
She's just crazy in love. Rich Harrison actually wrote the song with me, and after I finished doing the song and writing the song, I asked Jay-Z to be a part of it, and he did. The song turned out great. Ended up being my first single, and here I am.
Of course, I have to thank Jake Nava and Rich Harrison for helping me write this song, and thank you to all the fans. God bless you.
When Beyoncé first started working on her 2003 solo debut album, Dangerously in Love, she held meetings and interviewed numerous writers and producers with whom she would collaborate with. Producer Rich Harrison played Beyoncé a beat that samples the Shy Lights' 1970 song, Are You My Woman? He had played it for many people in the past, and they just really weren't feeling it. But Beyoncé decided to take a chance with it and asked Rich to write to the beat. He wrote the verses, while Beyoncé wrote the bridge, and also came up with the most popular standout part of the song, the famous "uh-oh" catchphrase. And that's how Crazy in Love became a hit. So technically, she did help write the song and help make it the song that it is. For the album, she co-wrote and co-produced about 43 tracks and narrowed it down to just 15. Beyoncé did not create the beats, but she came up with the melodies, concepts, and ideas which she shared with the producers.
The name of my album is Dangerously in Love, and actually I wrote the song about, 3 years ago? For this album, I wanted to collaborate because I wanted to grow, and I feel like I'm always looking for a way to grow, and I didn't want to do it by myself because I wanted to go to the next level. So for the majority of this record, I wrote in the studio with the other producers. Sometimes different concepts, because I love to come up with concepts. I usually get that from just sitting down talking to people and seeing what people go through and seeing what people want to hear songs about.
No?
No, I'm saying if I sing a little melody up under you saying that that's how you like it, huh?
It will make it fuller, if it makes sense.
Let me get the second and third one over. Signs was a song Missy played for me in the studio. We sat down and talked about, different people that I know and different things that have happened, and we put it in the song.
But the Fox News article was only the beginning of Beyoncé's plagiarism and songwriting controversies. Since then, it's been an ongoing cycle of criticizing Beyoncé's credibility as an artist every time she releases a critically acclaimed project. In late 2005, early 2006, Beyoncé got to work filming and recording music for the musical drama film Dreamgirls, released in fall 2006. She recorded a new song written for the feature version of Dreamgirls titled Listen.
I start, but can't complete.
Composition of the song was handled by Henry Krieger and Anne Previn, with some writing credits also going to Beyoncé. Critics praised her vocal performance on the track, and it generated countless accolades and awards. Listen was nominated for Best Original Song at the 2007 Oscars. But the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science decided not to recognize Beyoncé as a primary songwriter of Listen, even though she is credited as one of the song's 4 writers. Back in 2005, the AMPAS ratified a pair of rules designed to limit the number of statuettes handed out on awards night. Academy Rule number 16 put a capacity on the number of songwriters who can receive an Oscar at 3, stating that no more than 2 statuettes will normally be given, but making a provision for a 3rd statuette when there are 3 essentially equal contributors to a song, according to the organization's website. The executive committee of the organization had determined during their meeting in December of the previous year that Beyoncé's contribution was the smallest. Therefore, they shut her out of the nomination. And it's still not really clear how much she actually contributed to the writing. After filming for Dreamgirls Wrapped, Beyoncé spent 2 weeks recording her sophomore album, B-Day. She put together a writing team consisting of herself, songwriter Makeba Riddick, her cousin Angie Beyoncé, and sometimes including her sister Solange. Beyoncé also recruited an all-star lineup of different producers, from the Neptunes to Rodney Jerkins to Swiss Beats. She had producers in different studios working on her music for topics and concepts she pitched to them. Beyoncé came up with the melodies, did the vocal arrangements, and co-wrote all tracks. She recorded about 2 to 3 songs a day and selected 10 songs out of 25 tracks for the standard edition of B-Day. Makeba told MTV, and I quote, "We work together every day, pulling 14-hour days. I see the reason why she's the biggest artist of our generation. Her work ethic is unlike anything I've ever seen. She would tell us to be there at 11 o'clock in the morning, and we would be there until like 4 or 5 in the morning. But she would be there before 11 a.m. When we got there, she was already there working. Her concepts were so incredible. I never saw an artist have so much of her own vision and know exactly what they want to say. She would say, I have this crazy idea for this song. Check out this situation. We would be talking, bugging out. 3 hours later, then comes the song."
I was in Miami right before I started this, and Pharrell heard I was there and dropped off 2 incredible songs that were just about finished. I rewrote the verses and made them personal to me, but they were perfect when I heard them. And surprisingly, everything I wanted without me even telling him. Because usually producers, they would assume to give me another Crazy in Love or something that I've done already. And I've done that, and it was a great song, but whenever you try to recreate the same thing, it never works. This album I actually wrote with great writers, which usually is me by myself. And that's because I wanted to grow, and I wanted it to be different from the last album. And I love writing with Sean Garrett, and I love writing with my sister. She was one of the writers. Angie, my cousin, and Makeba, this new talented young lady. I worked with Amanda Ghost, who is from the UK. I think some of my best songs she wrote. And I mean, there were so many great producers.
Are we going to be seeing a kind of the next Beyonce album be like a Prince album where you produce the whole thing, you write the whole thing, you play the instruments on the whole thing?
I wish. I can't play any instruments. But you know, a lot of other people wrote some of the songs on this album. And I love being around great writers because I'm finding that a lot of the things that I want to say, I don't articulate as good as maybe Amanda Ghost. So I want to keep collaborating with writers, and I love classics, and I want to make sure years from now the songs are still something that's relevant.
Her single, Irreplaceable, written by Ne-Yo, became B-Day's biggest single, topping Billboard for 10 consecutive weeks.
Standing in the front yard telling me how I'm such a fool.
And Ne-Yo actually wrote a song on the album as well. It's a song called Irreplaceable that Ne-Yo did.
And you talked about a lot of the people you worked with. Anybody you want to let us know about on the album?
My sister helped me write. Angie helped me write. Sean Garrett, Swiss Beats, Rich Harrison, Rodney Jerkins, and I'm forgetting somebody, but of course the Neptunes, Ne-Yo. It was great.
It also brought Beyoncé more songwriting controversy. She frequently credited all of her collaborators during the promotion of B-Day. But Ne-Yo became irritated when Beyoncé slipped up and took full credit for writing the song despite crediting him in previous interviews. In 2007, he told MTV International, apparently Beyoncé was at a show somewhere, and right before the song came on, she said, I wrote this song for my girls. The song is a co-write. I wrote all the lyrics. Beyoncé helped me with the melodies and the harmonies and the vocal arrangement, and that makes it a co-write, end quote. Turns out, Ne-Yo wrote the song for himself from a male perspective, but decided the track was more suitable for a woman and had Faith Hill and Shania Twain in mind.
That's my stuff, yes, if I bought it. And please don't touch and keep talking that mess, that's fine. But could you walk and talk at the same time, man?
Beyoncé heard it, loved it, and decided to make it her own by changing a few lyrics, adding background melodies, requesting different drums for the beat, and doing her own vocal arrangements, as Ne-Yo mentioned. She may not have written the lyrics, but she made it a completely different song from Ne-Yo's demo. Her fans accused him of trying to discredit her contribution to the song, which forced him to clarify his comments.
If you listen to my version of Irreplaceable and listen to Beyonce's version of Irreplaceable, it's two damn totally different songs with all the harmonies and extra stuff that she put in there. So yeah, I gave her writer's credit because that counts. That's writing. You know, that harmony that you put right there, that little background part, I didn't write that originally. You put that in there. So for her to take the song and make it hers, I didn't mind her saying, I wrote this for my girls at a concert or whatever the case may be, because in a way, technically, in a way, she did. You know, she put her spin on it. If you're going to do it the exact same way I did it, you might as well let me keep it. You know?
But this would not be the last time Beyoncé got called out publicly by her colleagues. And as her star power grew, things only got worse. By the end of the next year, Beyoncé found herself at the center of another songwriting controversy with a lesser-known singer's track during her third album cycle. She received a songwriting credit on her song Smash Into You off her 2008 album I Am Sasha Fierce, which is a repurposed cover of John McLaughlin's Smack Into You. The song was written by The Dream and Tricky Stewart for John's sophomore album, but was eventually cut from the track listing and ended up going to Beyoncé. Beyoncé recorded the song with more vocal effort, but sang it the same way with most of the original lyrics. However, she only changed one word in the lyrics, allegedly resulting in her getting the larger share of profits from the song. People took issue to this, and she was heavily criticized. But I don't think people realized that Beyoncé was gonna get most of the profit anyway since she's the song's performer. Smash Into You was also made the theme song for her movie Obsessed. Fast forward to the 2010s when Beyoncé is the biggest superstar alive, and she's the subject of numerous attacks on her credibility as a writer from other public figures. In 2013, Beyoncé covered GQ magazine, and in the cover story, she discussed being a new mom and her journey to becoming the biggest entertainer alive. She also discussed her songwriting process, which, surprise, surprise, left critics outraged. In the interview, she says, I used to start with lyrics, and then I'd find tracks. Often it was something I had in my head, and it just so happened to go with the melody. Now I write with other writers. It starts with the title or the concept of what I'm trying to say, and then I'll go back into the booth and sing my idea. Then we work together to layer on. She went on to say, you know, when I was writing the Destiny's Child songs, it was a big thing to be that young and taking control. And the label at the time didn't know that we were going to be that successful. So they gave us all control. And I got used to it. It is my goal in life to be that example. And I think it will hopefully trickle down and more artists will see that. Because it only makes sense. It's only fair. End quote. Despite mentioning that she writes with other writers, her comments about writing Destiny's Child's music sent the media into an uproar. A headline by Salon reads, "Is Beyoncé a plagiarist? She claims she wrote Destiny's Child songs. This isn't her first time stealing credit." Legendary singer-songwriter Linda Perry responded to a Reddit question that read, Linda, how do you feel about Beyoncé changing one word on a song and getting writing credit? Does that bother you as a songwriter? Linda's response was, well, haha, that's not songwriting. But some of these artists believe if it wasn't for them, your song would never get out there, so they take a cut just because they are who they are. But everyone knows the real truth about Beyoncé. She is talented, but in a completely different way. Another singer-songwriter, Shy Wisdom, who's worked with Drake and Rita Ora, did an interview also alleging that Beyoncé doesn't write anything. Shy said, and I quote, "To be a songwriter on a song, all you have to do is contribute one word. By the time the R.I.P. record I did with Drake was finished, 6 writers, including myself and him, touched that song. That wasn't the plan. But that's what happens. Somebody comes in and says, instead of saying boy, say you. Now they're a writer on the song, but that's access. For the longest time, Beyoncé didn't write any of her records. I personally still don't believe she's written any of her records. I think it's very important to note that Shy Wisdom has never worked with Beyoncé and is just speculating. When Beyoncé dropped her self-titled surprise album in December 2013, her single Drunk in Love became the breakout hit of the album.
Girl, flashing lights, flashing lights. You got me we be all night.
Turns out, rapper Future was a primary creator of the song. He first recorded a demo version named Good Morning with producer Detail, who then sent the track to Beyoncé. But to Future's surprise, he didn't receive a songwriting credit when Drunk in Love debuted, but Beyoncé did.
I'm so horny, I'm so horny. Whatever I gotta do to tell you good morning, good morning. Somehow I'm feeling so close to you, baby. I'm fucking with you, baby. Good morning.
What happened with this Drunk in Love song? Was this your song first? It was your song? Or it's just a song that sounded like it?
I recorded the song first for her.
For Beyoncé.
For Beyoncé. And then Detail came and worked with her. He say she didn't listen to it. He say she didn't. I don't know what happened, whatever with it. And then she didn't put it out for like 6 months. And we never know. I was like, what's she doing with the record? He was like, man, let's just make another one. We made Good Morning and a few more records during that time.
And then so Drunk in Love came out.
Yeah, Drunk in Love just came out of nowhere, and I was gonna put my album. If I would have put my album out in November, she wouldn't been able to put Drunk in Love out. So it worked out for her, and it worked out for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a chance to continue to work on the album that
I'm
satisfied
so did you work
with.
on the same song?
Yeah, I worked during the song.
But it turned out a little different.
No, I did Drunk in Love.
The actual Drunk in Love.
I did the actual Drunk in Love.
Did you get credit for that?
I did Drunk in Love. Along with Detail. And
is everything okay?
Yeah,
Was
everything okay.
Cleared and
everything
smoothed
okay.
out?
Now it just I can't put my the Good Morning out because of the version of like it say this a picture. Well, the picture is the same version, like the same melody, not the same version, but the same melody as Drunk in Love melody at the beginning. But it's totally different beat. It sounds similar. The beat sound a little similar.
What are you
but
telling
it's not,
me?
It's a
are
different
you telling
beat.
me, Future, that you had something that you did this song?
No, I demoed the record for him, and I put a little twist on it doing it. But at the same time, he wrote the record. Detail did write this record.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was just involved in the record. He came to me. I'm working in the studio. Please do this. Please do this. Please, please, please. I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't even want to get into the politics of that. I end up doing it. She put it out. It's a great record for her, you know what I'm saying? That Partition record, I love that also. We have nothing to do with that.
I was going to say, did you have anything to do with that?
I said that because that don't sound like a Future record.
Right. Do you feel slighted by that is what I'm asking. Like, do you feel a little slighted by the Drunk in Love?
I know that I'm the man with these melodies, you know what I'm saying? That I'm the original. It come to it.
There's not going to be a lawsuit here or anything, maybe.
Nah, man, no lawsuit, no bitterness and nothing, man. Like I said, I don't get into that. Like, I don't do it for that, man. I got hits for real. That's not my last song. That was a song that I was a part of.
It's a big one, though.
It was a big one.
Beyoncé and Jay-Z freestyled their verses, and Beyoncé helped with the production and adding elements. None of Future's lyrics were used on the final track, which is probably why he was cut from the songwriting credits.
I kind of freestyled the verse. And Jay went in and he just started flowing out his verse. We just kind of had a party. We weren't trying to make a hit record. We were just having fun. And I think you can hear that.
The producer Detail said, Beyoncé is a phenomenal writer. Oh yeah, by the way, she pretty much wrote everything on the song. I came in with the music and I had the idea about drunk situations. She helped build it and turn it into this massive thing. In 2015, when the album lost the Grammy for Album of the Year to musician and songwriter Beck, Kanye West pretended to rush the stage in a similar manner to his 2009 VMA debacle with Taylor Swift. But Kanye was not joking, and in the post-show interview, he says Beck should have given Beyoncé the award for her self-titled album instead. He said, in quote, When you keep on diminishing art and disrespecting art and smacking people in the face after they deliver monumental feats of music, you're disrespectful to inspiration. And this quote sparked a great debate over Beyoncé's artistry and comparisons to Beck's ability to write and produce his music on his own with little to no help. Her album had 27 writers and 20 producers. As for Beck, just himself. The same thing happened with her next album, Lemonade, in 2016, when people found out that the album had 70 writers. Same goes for her latest and seventh studio album, Renaissance. Legendary songwriter Diane Warren, who previously wrote the song I Was Here for Beyoncé, took a dig at her new song, Alien Superstar, questioning how one song can have 24 writers. The answer is simple. Beyoncé sampled 2 different songs as well as a spoken word portion for Alien Superstar. And when an artist samples or interpolates songs on a track, they must credit all of those original songwriters along with every person who contributed to the new song. Beyoncé could have just kept all of the songwriting credits for herself and remove all the other names to avoid the ongoing public scrutiny regarding her songwriting abilities. But she didn't. I think the people who criticize her for the amount of songwriters Beyoncé credits don't have a full understanding of intellectual property laws. There are so many infamous copyright infringement cases that changed the music industry, like Chuck Berry's plagiarism lawsuit against the Beach Boys, Chicago blues artist Willie Dixon's copyright infringement suit against Led Zeppelin, David Bowie's suit against Vanilla Ice for using his beat for his breakout single Ice Ice Baby. I'm pretty sure you guys know about the Blurred Lines debacle between Marvin Gaye's family and Pharrell and Robin Thicke. Or what about the ongoing lawsuit by the writers of Players Gon' Play by 3LW against Taylor Swift? So is Beyoncé considered a manufactured artist since she isn't the sole writer of her hits? Admittedly, there have been times where Beyoncé has solely credited herself as a writer, but I showed you guys so many instances where she's discussed collaborating with writers to make timeless music. As Vanity Fair writer James S. Murphy points out, Frank Sinatra and Billie Holiday did not write their songs. They interpreted them and made them their own. Just like great television shows and films have multiple writers, some of the biggest records and most timeless songs were born through collaborations and multiple writers. Take, for example, the songs Quincy Jones did with Michael Jackson, or all the songs Whitney Houston worked on with a team of writers. Whitney didn't write her hit song I Will Always Love You, but she made it her own and sang it in a way that nobody could have. Both artists put out timeless hits that are still adored and respected by the world to this day. Kanye West had over 100 writers on his The Life of Pablo album. Does getting help with lyrics make people less of an artist or diminish the work they've put in? I've covered so many manufactured artists on this channel who aren't great singers, aren't good dancers, don't make any creative decisions, and just show up to the studio to record songs that have already been prepared for them. And Beyoncé isn't one of those artists. She's made it clear since she went solo that she's dedicated to putting out timeless songs, which is why she collaborates with the industry's most in-demand writers and producers. This is the reason Beyoncé has decades-old songs that are still admired by the public, and she's still able to sell 500,000 copies in the first week of an album's release, 20 years into her solo career. She may not be able to write all the lyrics, but she's shown us that she has the ideas for the melodies, vocal arrangements, music videos, choreography, and creative direction, and Beyoncé has always documented her creative process since day one. So many singers blow up, then disappear after the second album because they fail to reinvent themselves or put out quality music that has longevity. Every producer Beyoncé's worked with has said she's very involved in the writing process. Production duo Cool and Dre told Billboard, in quotes, "She was 100% involved. She put her mind to the music and did her thing. If she had a melody idea, she came up with the words. If we had the words, she came up with the melody. She's a beast." Speaking to Vanity Fair, Diana Gordon, the songwriter behind the infamous Becky with the Good Hair line, said, "Beyoncé is a scientist of songs. I've never seen anyone work the way she works. She definitely changes the song structure. She can take 2 songs, say, I like 2 lines, I like the melody, then let me use that for a verse and a bridge and write the whole middle. It's more of a collaboration. You never know what she'll like. I came to her with a bunch of songs and she was like, I like that verse, I like the idea. But she definitely doesn't take things as is. At least not from me. That's all I have for this video. I guess everybody's opinion on this is gonna be different. I would really like to know your perspective on Beyoncé's artistry, and please let me know your thoughts on whether or not it matters that singers write their own music by themselves. Like this video and subscribe to BFTV for more content.